if you were to tell me I'm not in the market, I would respect you for saying it, and I'd appreciate that answer, but at the same time, it's not an acceptable response for me. So I've got to dig deeper. Like, I've got to ask more questions. I guess, like, to really understand the answer to that question is I need to know a little bit more about them. And so that question has to be asked at that point. Are they a homeowner or are they renting? If they're a homeowner and they're not in the market, then that means they're happy with the home that they're in, which is great, but we want to add value to them today, right? They may not be in the market today. They may want to live in that home for the next 10 or 15 years, but we want to add value to them, right? We want to make sure they file their homestead exemption. We want to make sure they're challenging their tax amounts, they're saving money on their taxes. We want to keep them up to date with what's going on in their neighborhood. So anytime one of their neighbors puts their home on the market, they're going to get a notification with how much that's at. So we want to be their trusted real estate professional, whether they're in the market or not, as a homeowner. If it's a renter and they say I'm not in the market, I'm trying to understand why they want to throw their money away and rent, right? There's a reason for that. It's either, well, we don't have the down payment saved up, or we don't have good credit, or whatever the case may be. So that is not an acceptable answer for me. I'm not in the market, okay? It simply isn't. Like, basically, if you were to tell me I'm not in the market, I would respect you for saying it, and I'd appreciate that answer, but at the same time, it's not an acceptable response for me. So I've got to dig deeper. Like, I've got to ask more questions, you know? And a lot of times that's the sales wall, right? Like, we go into Macy's, we're there for a pair of jeans, we know we need a pair of jeans, we haven't been in that Macy's ever before, we don't know where the jean section is, we walk in the door, and the lady says, "Hi, can I help you?" And you're like, "I'm just looking," right? I'm not in the market. I'm just looking, right? And then we wander around Macy's for another 30 minutes trying to find the jeans section, right? Just imagine if that lady, rather than give up after you said, "I'm just looking," if she said, "Well, are you coming in for a pair of jeans or a pair of shoes?" You'd be like, "Well, as a matter of fact, I'm looking for a pair of jeans right this way," right? If she refused to accept that answer, she could have added value to you. But because the majority of salespeople and professionals stop at the sales wall, you don't get added value, okay? And so I'm not in the market is just simply not an acceptable answer for somebody that wants to, like, truly be successful in life. You see what I'm saying? Like, we all have a choice, you know? We can give up, and you're going to hear a lot of neutralizers and detractors say, "Oh, I don't want to be too pushy," or, "Well, you know, I don't want to be too aggressive," or I don't want to be a pressure person. Okay? That's why those people aren't going to ever really succeed in life. Like, I'm going to pressure you. You're going to have to give me a hard rejection. You know, you're literally going to have to like literally slam the door in my face is what you're going to have to do. Because I care enough about you, even though I don't know you, to not accept answers like that. I'm not in the market. I respect that. But if you don't mind me asking, are you currently renting or do you own the home you're living in now? Right? See? You see how that works? See, you can really separate yourself from the average agent or the average loan originator or the average professional by just not accepting certain like answers like that. It's simply not an acceptable answer for me. Right? And I'll respect you for saying it. And, you know, I don't want to, like, make you uncomfortable, but at the same time, I want to add value to you, and sometimes that doesn't happen until I make you uncomfortable. So you just decide. Just decide, like, what you will accept and what you won't accept. And I'm not in the market. I don't accept that, you know? And maybe I haven't done a good enough job of, like, explaining, like, how I can add value to you yet, so you feel like you need... It's the same thing in Macy's, you know? You go in there and you just kind of, you know, we don't want to be sold. And the lady asks you, you know, "Can I help you?" And you say, "No, I'm just looking." right? And she walks away. But just think how much time you could have saved, like how much more you would appreciate Macy's, the brand, if their salespeople like didn't accept that response. I know me for one. Like if I went into Macy's and like I needed to find a pair of jeans and I said, no, I'm just browsing. And she was like, okay, well, what are you looking for? A shirt or a pair of shoes? Like that to me, my respect for Macy's would go up exponentially because that's a well-trained person, right? If they walk away, then that's the status quo. That's the average. That's what I would expect. You know what I mean? So great question, Ben, but you simply can't accept that as an answer, right? You simply can't accept it. You know, it's just not an acceptable answer. But you don't want to like make the person, you know, frustrated. Like you're never going to get anywhere if you argue with people, you know? You've just got to be direct enough to where certain phrases and certain responses you simply do not accept. You simply move past them. You know? That's just not an acceptable answer for me. You know, you say that in your mind, you probably don't tell them personally, you know.